Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of council. Thank you for your attendance. We're going to call the first regularly scheduled council meeting of October 22. This is the 11th of October to order at 6 o'clock. And I would ask at this point if there is a resolution to adopt the agenda this evening. Councillor Rosehart, you have that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Esseltine, that the agenda is prepared for the council meeting of October the 11th, 2022 be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rosehart. Discussion to that resolution? Seeing none, prepared to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Resolution is carried. With that agenda for this evening's meeting, is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof from members present? Seeing none, seeing none, I did want to recognize that all members of council are in attendance, 5 in person and 2 virtually. So all 7 members of council are present. And we would again like to start this evening's meeting by expressing our gratitude and acknowledging the traditional territory of Indigenous peoples dating back countless generations. Personally, we are connecting today from Tilsonburg, Ontario, which is an area of significance for many Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island. Tilsonburg is located on the traditional territories of Indigenous people and is covered by the Between the Lakes Treaty Number 3 of 1792. So as we gather on the traditional territory of Indigenous peoples dating back countless generations, we acknowledge the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Attawattawan peoples, showing respect for the long-standing relationships that Indigenous nations have to this land as they are the original caretakers. Thank you. Motion to adopt the council minutes of our previous meeting of the 26th of September. Councillor Esseltine, you have that, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani, that the minutes from the regular council meeting held on September 26, 2022 be approved.
Thank you, Councillor. Any discussion for members of council? Any errors or omissions? And seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That resolution is carried. We move to presentations this evening. There are 3 presentations on our agenda, and it's a pleasure to welcome back Mr. John Burton from Royal Canadian Legion Branch 153, and importantly as well, the chair of the annual Poppy campaign. So welcome back, Mr. Burton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor and members of council, thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight to talk about the 2022 Poppy campaign. This year's campaign will run from October the 28th through to November the 10th, followed by the Remembrance Day on November the 11th. Poppies will be available at 4 different locations in town, Metro, Zehrs, Town Center, and Sobeys, as well as many merchants have been very gracious to allow us to put poppy boxes in their establishment. So they're readily available, and we encourage everybody to wear a poppy, especially during that period. Last year's campaign was very successful. We raised $28,000, which was one of our best campaigns. Through the donations, generous donations of businesses and citizens, we were able to help not only our local veterans, but the veterans that are in Parkwood Institute in London. There are about 100 veterans still there. We provided bursaries to students at Glendale College or high school, and some other things that we've done too. So I'm open to any questions. Oh, if anybody is interested in spending 2.5 hours of their time to man one of our tables, it'd be greatly appreciated. You can call the branch office at 519-842-5281, and that's open in the morning. Or you can drop into the canteen anytime in the afternoon, Tuesday to Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burton. Are there questions for the delegation from members of council? And there's in attendance, Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you. Through you to Don Burton. Thanks for bringing this to our attention, Don. And if you remember last year, there were some lawn poppies that were distributed throughout the community, and it was a significant fundraiser. and pardon my voice, I apologize. That's why I'm home, not spreading germs. Would you please remind the public that they can put those lawn poppies out this year and next year and next year, and there's no charge to do that. However, it's really nice if they would to sort of fatten up the poppy fund if they're going by, just in remembrance of the lawn poppy. They own them, but it's all about giving. And I think the public should be reminded of that. So carry that with you whenever you make your presentations. All right, Don?
Very much. Yes, lawn poppies. Dominion Command have chosen not to allow the Lions Club to do the lawn poppy campaign again this year. It was a great fundraiser for not only the Tilsonburg Legion, but a number of legions in the area. If you still have your lawn poppies, you are welcome to put them out from October the 28th to November the 11th. And as Dave said, we encourage you to do that, and do that as long as your poppies are in good repair.
Any further questions for Mr. Burton? Just while you're here, Don, and I think appropriate to also expand not just on the poppy campaign, but the recent dedication of the anti-aircraft gun at the front of the Legion that had gone through refurbishment. Mr. Burton was instrumental in actually, not to embarrass you, but ultimately won a local hero award from the Tilsonburg Military History Club, who are also very supportive, along with private sector and personal contributions that provided for that restoration. And the dedication was made by the local padre just last week. And I think it's important to recognize yourself, Olive Branch 153, and the Military History Club for not just the vision, but for protecting a piece of our history. That it doesn't really just, I think as it was mentioned the other day, it's not representative of wartime. It's representative of how we can protect our peace. So I wanted to, while you were here.
Not a piece of weaponry as such. It's a memorial to those that fought in the wars and to some of those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. It's in memory of all the people that have served our country that allows us to be here tonight. And seeing no other questions, Mr. Mayor, if you would kindly come forward, I'll be proud to give you the first copy of the campaign.
Want me to get a photo?
That's for there.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very
And
much.
we'll repeat the number at the end of the broadcast or the meeting. And then I think what we'll also do is encourage our communications team in the weekly update to ensure
Okay.
the message is out in the community regarding the request for assistance.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Your assistance is greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, may I go down?
Please, please. Here. There you go. That one later. Am I allowed to do that? Thank you. I don't. Am I allowed to pay? That'll be called some pecuniary.
Mayor, for allowing us to pick candidates.
Good luck. Thanks very much again, Don. The next presentation this evening is also extremely exciting, and there's a tie-in to the presenter. We're going to invite a member of the Cultural Heritage and Special Awards Committee to come forward and make a presentation for the quarterly volunteers in the town of Tilsonburg. It's Dr. Jason Pankratz, and Dr. Pankratz is also extremely involved with local branch 153.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's wonderful to be with you here tonight. My name is Jason Pankratz, and I am the Vice Chair of the Culture, Heritage, and Special Awards Committee. I am happy to be here this evening to present Margaret and Kevin Marr with the Tilsonburg Volunteer Appreciation Award. Margaret and Kevin have been wonderful volunteers with the Multi-Service Center for years now. They have been instrumental in managing the frozen meals program through the Multi-Service Center. The frozen meal program was established to assist seniors in our community to maintain independence in their own homes. By having affordable and nutritious meals delivered right to their door, it makes it possible for seniors to remain living in their own homes while taking away the burden of meal preparation, cooking, and cleaning up. Every single week, Margaret and Kevin pick up inventory from all 3 food suppliers and bring the food into the multi-service center. Margaret and Kevin can be seen around town on Tuesdays with their red wagon, making their way around Tilsonburg, dropping off the meals. Without Margaret and Kevin, this delivery option for this program would not have the resources to be able to happen. So many members of our community depend on the generosity and giving nature of their service. Not only do they deliver, they also help with product inventory, labeling, ordering, and much more. They always keep track of their clients, and if they see that someone who usually orders did not place an order that week, they will let the staff know to make sure everyone and everything is okay. It is a pleasure to congratulate Kevin and Margaret and thank them for their commitment and their passion to our Tilsonburg community.
Thank you very much.
Does this go as well? Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
I really don't have anything to say, just that we just enjoy doing what we're doing. That's why we're doing it, and it's provides us lots of rewards. So
We give, but we get more back.
yeah, we get lots back from it. So thanks very much.
Congratulations again, Margaret and Kevin, and Don, thank you very much for your presentation. We look forward to that launch. And once again, any members of the community who are interested in volunteering on behalf of the Royal Canadian Legion and their Poppy Drive can contact the Legion at 842-5281. Thanks again. And we move to our third presentation this evening. A-Link Architects. This has to do with an updated vision for the Tilsonburg Community Center and its aquatics area. And I've got an Alicia Lesniak architect or Ed Van Marl. Are we on a virtual presentation? Then it's my pleasure on behalf of council to welcome Alicia. Alicia, are you with us at this point in time?
Yes, I am.
Can we get a video? I've got your audio. Oh,
Sorry
there
about
you are.
that.
Welcome.
Sorry.
No, all's good. All's good. Welcome. How are you doing this evening?
Good, thank you. How are you all?
Very good. And then what I am going to ask over to Laura is to confirm that we have access to the PowerPoint presentation. And then I'm going to again introduce Alicia Lesniak. And at this point in time, Alicia, you go ahead and make your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you. I will pull that out on the screen here in a second. If I can. Oh, here we go. Okay. I just shared my screen. Does everyone see that?
Confirm. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so good evening, everyone. I've been the lead designer on this project, and I'm just here to present where we're at since our last presentation, which I believe was at the end of May, so it's been a while. We've been moving forward with the design and just working with the staff to make sure we're still working to the same goals and program requirements as previously. Some of the challenges we had as well have been just ensuring that we make sure that the design works both with the program and as well with the budget. So we've been working closely with staff as well as our cost consultant and engineers to stay on track on that regard. So I'll just point out the site plan to start, showing you the full complex, the existing in the yellow, and we've got the blue as the addition where we've got our new main entry area as well as the new change rooms that are for barrier-free and family access to the pool. And the next couple of plans, just to review, we had this similarly in our previous presentation, just showing the scope of work, just to confirm. The areas in green are existing building renovations. So here we have the existing pool, new pool deck, new tile, a new barrier-free ramp going into the shallow end of the pool, some minor storage renovations. The new pool, the existing pool lifeguard area renovated, as well as the existing change rooms. And then as well in the lower level at the health club, we have the removal of the existing sauna, washrooms, change rooms, showers. This will be now added into the health club area to give them a larger space. And in the red hatch, that's the new addition, which, as I mentioned, includes the main level entry area, the new entry, and then the new change rooms that are for barrier-free access and family directly access onto the pool deck, and the new pool admin. So we'll see that up close in the floor plans. Just this is more of an overall for the lower floor. And the upper floor, again, in the red, we've got the addition, but the main renovations here on the second floor are just the addition of a barrier-free viewing area into the pool. So this will be opened up. And that's the main area for renovation, as well as we're adding a meeting room off this level. That's part of the new addition. So this is one of the latest plans we've got that wasn't shown at the previous presentation. Now we've further develop the landscape plan on the exterior of the building, and the design around the main entry. And I'll just zoom in a little because I know it's might be a little difficult. There's a lot of information here, so I'll try and just point out the main elements. So the main thing here is we wanted to provide a barrier-free level access. As you know, currently, to get up to the existing entry, we've got a large set of stairs. You had, or even had a ramp at one point. But right now, the entry is very hard to access for anyone with mobility issues, and obviously anyone with a wheelchair can't access this entry. So one of the main purposes of this addition was to provide a level access at the street here. So we've got along this area, this pathway has been created for barrier-free travel. And that's direct off of this area where you have the existing lay-by, which we're maintaining, but protected with bollards. And beyond that, we have a plaza area for seating for people waiting for their pickup or meeting people with some bike racks. And then as well, a set of gradual steps coming down from here, because the main challenge here was the grading. We had the grade comes up a fair bit as you get up around this turn. So it was just trying to design a way that people can access without too much difficulty, having as much of a direct access and simple access as possible, with some areas for seating and for planting as well. This area will be well lit as well. We've got several lamp standards to illuminate the space, as well as lighting along the stairs. Along this end here, we've tried to maintain as much of the existing trees as possible. There will be a fair bit of excavation for the new additions, so obviously a fair bit of the existing landscaping will have to be removed and cannot be fully retained. But again, we're trying to keep as much as we can of the existing. As well, you'll see a secondary access is provided along the addition on this side, which can take you directly to the side here of the existing sidewalk. But the main reason for this walkway was to connect to the existing barrier-free spaces, which are currently located at this end of the site. So either one can walk down the sidewalk or come down, obviously with wheelchair, down through here and enter the building. The slopes here are very gradual and are all barrier-free, AODA compliant with the sloping. As well, everything is sloped away from the building and providing drainage away from the building, but as well trying to stay away from the street and draining into the street as well. So we have a drainage system that comes along here where most of the water will come in through. We've provided a rain garden in this area and here, which are natural type of landscaping that will take care of kind of any excess drainage that comes in. We'll work with whatever plantings that are indigenous to the area. So yeah, that's the main design of the exterior here now for the landscaping and civil. So next we've got the floor plans again, lower floor plan. The colors denote mainly levels. So this aqua is that existing lower level that you have the pool and existing change rooms in. This aqua here is the new addition that's also on that level. The blues are access points, whether it be the ramp that takes you down from the new main lobby down to the barrier-free change rooms. We've got stairs taking you down to the renovated men's, women's change rooms as well. And then off the main lobby, we also have an elevator that will take you either down or up to the upper level, and a set of stairs taking you up to the upper level. The main element of this design and how this level was chosen was to allow for connection, direct connection to the existing arena. Currently here, there is a corridor. So we found a way that we can now just pop through here at the same level, and that now connects this new entry pretty much to all aspects and areas of the building. And then, of course, the customer service desk here at the main lobby, which is directly off of that main entry. So very visible and easily to access. And then at the lower level, we also have a multi-purpose room that's stacked with the room above. You'll see at the upper level. And we've got the pool administration now that office is currently up on the main upper lobby. So that now is relocated down to the pool deck level with access directly onto that deck, as well as to this lower lobby. So great access for them. And then again, there's the new pool ramp. This ramp is based on barrier-free AODA requirements. We've presented this to the Accessibility Committee, and this was chosen based on their comments. And I think that's the main thing here on this lower level. Moving on to the upper. Here again, we've got the upper level is shown in yellow color, and the main new areas would be the meeting room. This is part of the addition, stacked above the multi-purpose room below, sorry. This area is now going to be the new pool viewing area for accessible pool viewing. These walls will be opened up with windows into the pool area. And the existing pool viewing area will also be slightly renovated in that we'll be removing the existing ramp that is currently taking up a lot of valuable viewing space, being that now the barrier-free viewing is now relocated to this area. We no longer require that ramp, so that will be removed, but the existing stairs will still remain. And then just an additional thing that was changed from previous plans with our code review with the building inspector at the town of Tilsonburg, we found with the two-story, the new addition, based on life safety and fire requirements, we needed to provide a separation at these areas for smoke not to go into any of these areas that are now currently unsprinklered. That was the main issue. At this point, the gray area below here is currently sprinklered. Our new addition will be sprinklered as per building code requirements. So with that addition and the conditions that are existing here without sprinklers, we've separated this area out so that now this area will have additional sprinklers as well for safety. And then the next few images are just the latest renderings of the exteriors. These renderings from the last presentation are further developed, showing that landscape design that I just reviewed on the plan. So exterior has pretty much remained the same, very similar to our previous. So that's that new addition, the two-story at the entry and lobby, and then our one-story with the change rooms. So it's mainly here showing just the lay-by with bollards and showing kind of the various planting and seating areas in that plaza. This is looking from the other end here, from the west towards the addition, along that one-story change room addition, again towards the entry and that plaza area. This is directly off that walkway that runs along the addition. Again, this is a view to the left of that, the rain garden idea. And to the left, to the right of that, sorry, is the existing, some of that existing landscaping that's there with additional green space and trees that will be added. This is from the main walkway that I had pointed out with the barrier-free, very gradual slope. As you could see, you have a direct and level access to that main entry. And the next few views are from the interior. Again, these should be fairly similar to the ones we had previously with some minor modifications. This from the main entry. This is actually kind of looking from that connection, that new connection we have to the arenas. That's pretty much where that door is located, with the customer service desk to the left, to the right, sorry. A view of the customer service desk with a storage area and access. We're actually working now with staff on more detailing of how this will look with regards to the requirements. So there'll be some more modifications to this, but this is generally the idea in terms of massing. Materials still have to be confirmed. Main change here, I think, is we've provided glazing here. On the upper level on just this area. This is kind of in front of where the existing customer service desk is. This was added to provide kind of security and safety to the customer service desk below, so that no one will be throwing anything or jumping down. It's just to keep people away from that area. This is actually a view from that upper level glass wall, as I just pointed out, just looking through the space, and that upper meeting room, and then the staff room below. Again, showing just how the design was meant to be very open visually, to both allow for a lot of light into the space, natural light, as well as visibility of the occupants through the space. This is a view looking down the ramp to the new addition of change rooms, barrier-free and family change rooms. And to the right, we have the room for the pool administration. This is about a story and a half, lifted a little bit over the 1 story just to allow some light into this lower space. This is a view from the change rooms. You notice on the exterior, there's a wall with a strip of glazing across. The idea has always been to provide lighting into that space through the change rooms, even through to the pool. We've got some openings into the pool as well, just providing more light and visibility, which adds a bit as well to security. But the idea too is to provide layers of film, decorative film, whether it be here we're showing text, it could be pattern. We're still working on finalizing the design, but there'll be layers of patterning, and the layers will be more dense where we need more privacy, and will open up more where it's less private. So that's something that we'll be looking at as well. But the idea is to provide that light into that space. And these were just some of the images we had for examples, previous examples that of these same kind of facilities that we were working with. So that's the end of the presentation.
Thanks very much, Alicia. See if there's any questions. I just expand. I'm going to look first to the monitor. Are there questions from any member of council? We'll start with Councillor Kavisi, please.
You're on mute.
Forgot all about that. Thank you, Councillor Parker. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Alicia. It's been a while since you've been back to council. I do have concerns. I did speak the very first time when it came that I wasn't overly nuts about the design. I kind of feel that maybe there would have been some more vision. Maybe it could have fit in better to the existing building. So I have a few questions. Number one, what is the stripe material that's going to be used on the exterior?
This will be a one color vertical metal siding. So a white metal siding, and just the stripes is just, it's just the texture in terms of, it's just a vertical siding.
Okay, something then, if I may continue, Mr. Mayor, through you, something that would like potentially fade over time, because siding does tend to fade. So would it fade? This is an area that hits the sun, so, or the sun hits it, so.
Yeah, so obviously anything will fade over a great deal of time, but this cladding itself is, being that it's a light color, we're using a white, just kind of an off-white. So fading will be less obvious. And as well, the type of siding that we're using does have a UV within that finish. They are known for lasting a long time. So, but it helps when it's a lighter color. Obviously, if this was, say, a charcoal or dark green, you would definitely see the fading more. But the idea is the color, using this color will last longer.
Okay, if I may continue through you, Mr. Mayor, I think last time when you were here too, we had like kind of gone with the color scheme at the customer service center, and I had mentioned that it would be nice to kind of tie this in. I know that we're looking at a renovation on one portion of this building, but moving forward, other parts of it are going to have to be renovated as well. And I guess, kind of hoping to see like moving more a little bit towards the gray tones while doing this, because now this is going to really establish moving forward, you know, a color scheme that's going to have to be carried across this entire building. So I'm just raising some concerns in that regard. Indoors, the dark ceiling. So is that staying? I just want to make comment on it, that a dark ceiling tends to make things look lower and smaller, and a whiter, brighter ceiling would make the space look more open. The entrance and the lobby. So I have reservations about moving the lobby or the customer service down to this level, as the parking is really disconjointed from this area. And I think most people would consider the main entrance to be at the back, which is close to customer service. So I still do have reservations in that regard. And I wanted to know, we didn't actually see like a drawing of the pool. So you said there's new tiles going on the deck. Will there be new tiles in the pool as well?
If I can answer that last question just quickly. So we were directed that the pool itself, the tiles in the pool will be cleaned and regrouted, but not replaced.
Those, okay, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Alicia, that those pools would be, or those tiles would be original to the pool, like from 1972. So has it been assessed like what kind of shape they're in? Like, I guess I would have reservations reusing tiles and how effectively they can be regrouted.
Again, the facilities manager at the time had said his assessment was that they were in good condition, and that the regrouting and cleaning happens on a biannual basis, I guess, and that's been, I guess, ongoing. And he expressed his, I guess, or said that he feels that the condition of those tiles was fine with how they've been experiencing the cleanings. It's been going well, I guess. So that was our direction from him.
Councillor Gravesi, excellent. It was going to be a question. There will be a resolution and staff are available perhaps to answer any of the operational questions. I think that's an excellent question you've just raised. I don't know the capacity of the architect to be able to, she twice indicated that it's information and direction she received from staff. So I'm looking at myself when I say that and all others. Let's focus on the architect, and then when we get to the resolution, the director will be available to assist us further. Continue.
Well, thank you. This is the first time that I heard that it was staff that made that decision. So, okay, I will leave that for later. Through you, Mr. Mayor, the window decals, I can't remember what it was you called them. Is that something that will fade and be affected by the sun over time as well? Will it bubble or pit, or will it get nicked if people walk by with their bags?
With regards to the decals, usually, oftentimes we'll find the surface, we'll use it on a surface where it's least likely to be affected by traffic. So we'll either do it on the inside or outside service, depending. When it is applied, if it's applied correctly, which of course we review, it will be applied without any bubbling to start. And once it's applied evenly, then there shouldn't be any bubbling occurring after that. The films that are chosen for certain areas, say, for example, exterior versus interior, are different quality. So anything on the exterior will be more resistant. Although those exterior windows, all those films will be all on the interior. There won't be anything actually applied to the exterior, obviously due to exterior weather conditions and whatnot. They'll last longer on the interior.
Okay, thank you. Are there other options that, like glass blocks, frosted glass? Are there other options to consider here?
Oh, certainly. I mean, there's patterned glass. The glass itself can be treated, sandblasted, or whether it, with decoration as well. We can look at that option as a secondary, as another option instead of the decals, for sure.
Okay, thank you. I do have just maybe one other comment I do have one more question. The entrance right over where it says Tilsonburg Community Center, that flat roof entrance, how is that going to hold up with snow load and like water drip for ice pulling on the sidewalk?
All the roofs have a system of internal drainage, so everything is sloped away from the edges into internally, as typically occurs in this type of building. So nothing is being drained on the exterior. And as well, everything, of course, is designed structurally for snow loads and whatnot. That's why we have a structural engineer. They take care of that.
Thank you. And I just have one more final comment along with the white ceilings that I would love to see. I like white. It looks clean, crisp, and bright. Would be that brick wall when you walk in, which I guess is the existing brick wall of the building. I think it would be really nice if that was painted white as well. It would really brighten up the front lobby space. Thank you.
Any further questions for the presenter? We'll go to Councillor Parker, then Councillor Esseltine, please.
Through you, Mayor Molnar, to Alicia. I thoroughly enjoy that there's green space added in for the entrance here. However, I've got a couple of concerns with the accessibility where the handicap parking spots are. Right now, there's a current entrance and exit from those handicap spots. Is that entrance and exit it enters directly into the pool where everything else funnels through the front lobby? Are people that are in the handicap area, are they still going to be able to access that entrance? And I guess the other part is, if not, that's a long walk from or walk or wheel from the parking spots to the actual entrance of the building. I'm just wondering if there's an area that we could that those could be moved closer to the front entrance rather than where they are, because that is quite a significant distance when people have mobility issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, this was looked at the very beginning as well when we had our preliminary discussions. We were told that these barrier-free spots, being that they were there, and since they were the only ones at the moment that at this entry, that they would be the ones that we would have to look at to provide access if for anyone with barrier-free that will be parking here. So the idea was to connect to these existing ones. That's kind of how we were directed. The idea was in the future, it was talked about that there'd be a new parking area down below, that possibly there'd be some barrier-free spots. But there was a concern, of course, if that was the case, that then they'd have to be crossing the road. So that's why we kind of kept with this design of keeping the spots here. Now, of course, we acknowledge that this is a distance to go. We are just talking about possibly, if we can move them even here, relocate them, so at least they're a little closer with more of a direct access. That's kind of the only real option to get those as close as we can to the entry. This door that you brought up for the pool, that's meant to be just an exit door, and I was told this was being used during COVID as access, but normally this is only an exit, and that is the way it's supposed to work. So once this addition is completed, and I mean, currently I believe it's being used that way, this will just be an exit door. So yeah, that access would be to this main entry.
Follow up, Mr. Mayor. Well, with that being said, I'm going to say that I have very big concerns with that being the accessible parking in that location. If people aren't able to enter through that pool area in the winter, it's very difficult to move across the sidewalks. I'm thinking that there needs to be another idea put forward and put it closer to the entrance to the community center itself, possibly in the green space where we have those the trees and stuff right now, and maybe replant, because I see on here it says replanting trees. To me, accessibility is more important than making sure that those trees are upkept. If there's an ability to move them over to where the spot is now, we need to make sure that this is a fully accessible facility. So that's my concerns. Thank you.
Councillor Esseltine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Alicia. Then I have a couple of questions for you. So the ramp into the pool now, the illustration that we have in the pages that were sent to us, it looks like it goes along the east side of the pool. Is that correct? Or the south side of the pool? I'm sorry, south side of the pool.
Yes.
And
yes,
it kind of looks like it runs about a half of the way from the end of the pool into the pool. Is that correct? So do people have to walk halfway down the pool on the ramp to get,
yes,
getting into the deeper end rather than the shallow end?
no. So I know it's hard to kind of wrap your head around the plan sometimes, but we've had that asked as well before.
Okay.
You do enter at this midpoint here, and you're coming down to the shallow end at this end.
Okay.
Yes.
I assume the travel was the other way around. Thank you.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. Another question then. The existing washrooms are going to be refurbished. Is that correct?
The existing change rooms, yes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so, and then we have the new change rooms and washrooms. Now, are the old ones designated for adults and the new ones for children or people with disabilities, or does everybody use everything?
So the idea was that the use would remain the same for those existing change rooms, male, female, adult, however it is used now.
Okay.
That won't change. The whole, as we understood it, the whole reason for this this addition was to provide barrier-free, mainly barrier-free access and facilities for anyone needing barrier-free space. So that was the main reason, as well as family. So this
Okay.
new addition would be barrier-free family. However, again, this was from staff. They said there is a possibility, if depending on events and whatnot, depending on what's occurring at the time, if they needed spillover space or whatnot, that could be used for other things as well, like for more, if they needed more capacity. But again, that's something internal. We're not kind of privy to the programming, but that was what was told to us.
So primarily then the new change rooms are for barrier free, not necessarily for
family.
And family.
Oh, children, yeah, children, like their children and barrier free. And that's why we've in that space we've got some barrier free. Well, we have barrier free, obviously, change room areas and universal washrooms. We also have larger kind of individual stalls for changing for families.
Okay, and if I can continue, Mr. Mayor, so I also wanted to ask then, are there other significant, you mentioned one thing and I can't remember, a change from the last time we saw this project. Are there other changes that we should be aware of that are different than the initial time this was presented to us?
I think overall, there's just been some minor tweaks, but I think the areas, like the new areas, pretty much the same. The renovated areas, the scope of work on the lower level is the same. I think, like I mentioned, the only minor renovation change was the upper pool viewing area, as I mentioned. We originally were going to, we were always going to take the ramp out, but we were going to provide another ramp in here. But as we were reviewing, being that we've provided this area for barrier free, we were able to just remove the ramp and not need to provide an additional ramp. So that just leaves the existing stair there. And that's partly due to not just use, but as well as cost savings, because we're again very concerned, making sure that we're being fiscally responsible and keeping the design to a minimum, only to what's required. So
okay,
make sure that the building's working.
Okay, thank you. I wondered about the bollards then that are along the sidewalk on the exterior. Are they concrete?
Yes, that's the idea.
Okay, and are they something that children would play on, or is it supposed to be to keep vehicles from the purpose? Yeah.
The main thing is because it's the lay-by, this is basically denoting the edge of that lay-by and keeping pedestrians safe with, to make sure cars don't plow through that plaza area. So it just keeps the cars to one side.
Okay.
It's a common one we've used in other projects, and it's it works well and it's again cost effective.
Do you find children climbing on them and jumping from them and things like that? I just wondered safety wise if that's a good thing.
To be honest, if kids will climb on anything. So no matter what kind of bollard we design or put on here, they'll find, if they want to, they'll climb on it. As you know, I mean, we have planters, we have benches, all those things are climbable. So there's a certain point where the safety of pedestrians kind of has to come into play. And we were trying to choose a bollard that was sturdy enough that one of our big, a lot of things that really directed our design as well for exterior is not only maintenance and durability, but vandalism. We know that happens a lot. And we're trying to pick things that that aren't easily vandalized, can't be broken or moved or taken. So these spheres are pretty much, once they're in, they won't be moved. So I think that was the main reason for choosing these.
Okay, thank you. Just lastly, then, if I can ask now, I know this is dependent on the time that council approves the project, but any feel for when the RFP might be issued or when it would be, you're ready for that?
Yeah, we're aiming for the end of the year, like end of November, I think, and hopefully have the award before the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further, Councillor Luciani?
Through Mr. Mayor
Councilor
to Alicia, thank you for your presentation. Just one thing that did come up at the accessibility committee presentation was the bottom of the ramp. There was discussion that it was going to be further looked into, and what can
Yes.
you just maybe describe what the bottom of that ramp is? Thanks.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So we had previously, the ramp had ended at this point. So we have, the ramp is now, it's in two, this was, our previous design had the ramp divided into two. So you're sloped down, then there was a landing, and then sloped down and another landing. And then you got off that lower landing of the ramp, a kind of a step down to the pool. We now have since added from that landing, because that landing still had, you know, but just under a foot, I guess, or less than that, but still had a difference there in a step, basically one step. So to eliminate that step, we just shifted the pool down and added a sloped area. So now from this flat landing, you'll be sloping down again into the pool. So it's a gradual slope down to the pool. No step.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councillor Rosehart, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Sheila. Okay, so the ramp was recommended ramp 2, and I'm assuming you stuck with ramp 1. So what was ramp 2? And this is just a follow-up on Pete Luciani's question. Because that's what the accessibility recommended, ramp 2? Was that the ramp you have now?
I'm not sure of the numbers at this point. I'd have to look back. This was, it actually ended up being a combination of the two. We picked the design that was chosen by the committee was this in plan, this ramp where it was in two parts with the divided into two with the landing in the middle. The other option was one straight ramp without a landing. So this one, but the one had the, so the one with the no landing had the steep at 1 to 9, which is the maximum allowable for AODA. The second one we had with the landing was a more gradual slope at 1 to 12. So that was the one that was originally chosen. But in order to eliminate the step at the bottom of the ramp, as I just discussed, we had to then change the slope of that ramp to a 1 and 9.5. So it's not 1 and 12, but it is still divided and still a fairly comfortable angle as well.
Follow up, Mr. Mayor. So I also have a concern with the boulders outside. Was there any comments made from the department for snow plowing and having removal of the snow off the street?
Yes, we talked to the staff, maintenance staff, specifically about snow removal. We made sure that everything that was designed on the site worked with their machinery. So the spacing of the bollards has actually been spaced to allow for their snow clearing devices to go in between them.
And just to follow up with that, so if there's a drop off there and we're dropping people off, where will the people go park once they leave that area?
So sorry, someone coming in, dropping off, where would they park?
Yes, would they go to the south parking lot that's just off of that road coming in, off of Hardy Ave? To the left?
Here. Well, again, I was told the future plan, the master plan included this area to be the parking area that would be subsequently added on. That would be a future project. So that ultimately would be the parking area. I'm not sure now how that space is used, so I can only say at this point, you'd be going to the other side perhaps, or this drop off might be more for people just dropping off and driving off, not necessarily parking. I'm not sure really how people tend to use it. We're just providing what's already been there because there's currently the drop off. So we're just maintaining the existing drop off that's already there.
Thank you. Just to follow up, Mr. Mayor. So I walked around there the other day and I tried to visualize how much open space, how much wasted space we're going to have that we're not going to be utilizing. There's a lot of open areas, walking areas. I thought, I guess we would condense a little bit more and use more of the space. I noticed we have another meeting room. The parking for the handicap at the one end, I agree with Mr. Parker, it needs to be moved closer. And I guess my question to you is, all the flower beds that that are being produced and introduced, was that a recommendation by staff as well?
The flower beds, I guess the main areas are just around the building here and the planter. That was just, I guess that was just part of the idea of the design of the plaza and what's typically, adding kind of some greenery in that space.
And then there was something about a water garden. I guess I didn't understand the water garden.
Sorry, yeah, no, it's a rain garden. So a rain garden is really just mainly some native grasses that need no maintenance, and they're basically fed by excess rainwater coming into that area.
Thank you.
I believe Deputy Mayor, please.
I do. Thank you very much. I guess I'm the final. What I would like to see, if possible, is there a reference area where we can go and see and feel and touch your workmanship, similar to the project which is presented here? Something relatively recent within the last 2 or 3 years. Would love to see what sort of work you do and how satisfied the people are in the results of your workmanship.
Thank you very much for that question. We actually, funny enough, we did take the Tilsonburg staff that we're working with when we first started this process to 2 of our projects in London to give them an idea of what our vision is, to even talk to staff of how those spaces are working, both for the design in terms of the materials, because the idea would be a very neutral palette, but as well those 2 examples, which I'll just let you know, they also incorporate a lot of the design in terms of that openness in the change rooms and the flow and how those are designed now for current needs. So those there's the Boswick Community Center in London. That's off, I believe it's Southdale and Boswick. And then there's the East London Community Center. That as well is kind of East London. That's the most recent. That's actually just been completed. Those are both community centers, full community center facilities. The Boswick one had YMCA part of that, and City of London in there as well, but with arenas, pools, workout areas, gyms, community centers, community areas, and library. That was the biggest. Closer to our scale would be the East London Community Center, and that had had 2 pools, has 2 pools with the change rooms, also a gym, community spaces. Yeah. No arena in those ones, but everything else.
And the
But those
reason I
are-
bring that up, you mentioned that previous staff had reviewed it. We've had some staff changes, and I'm not sure if our current leader of that area has had an opportunity to visit these areas. And I believe maybe some of the councillors would like to. Would you clarify where East London is? Is that the Hamilton Road location? Or could you get back to our staff and tell them where that is? Because I know certainly I would like to review it before approving anything that goes up.
Yes, I can definitely provide addresses to those, as well as contact names that you can call to either, ask questions or just even arrange for a meeting, and they can tour you through. And we'd be happy to join you as well.
Thank you very much.
Further questions or comments from members of council? Be a resolution. I just had one question, Alicia. Thank Councillor Parker for his observations regarding accessibility. A lot of other good questions as well. This has come before us. Council has the opportunity at any time to put resolutions and directions on the floor. And there has been other, dialogue. I think we should consider this a wonderful opportunity and move to advance, with full understanding if and when council is prepared. I'll get to that question when we move to the resolution. Relative to your presentation, Alicia, I'm just looking for the most direct route from the new entrance on the addition to the currently maximized used entrance at the, I'd consider that the eastern portion with the sliding doors, where there's also a small remedial elevator there to access what I would consider now the main floor. And while suggesting with all the quality facilities and services that are provided on this footprint, they have been added and modified over time. And this is an opportunity to take a large section of that, concentrating on aquatics and customer service. And any opportunity to make this appear seamless, that should be the goal. Seamless, accessible. And so how do you get, even if I didn't want to stop in the building, but I wanted to come through the new main door and out the back door where the large parking lot is, heading out towards jail, Scott McLean Memorial Recreation Pad. How do I get there? How long does it take for me? And is it accessible?
Well, Mayor, I'm going to say it'll be a lot. I'm going to say my guess will be it'll be quicker, mainly because it'll be a lot easier to find. If I can just, a little side note, in our initial review of this building, and I think anyone can agree, this is a fair bit of a maze walking through this building. Lots of stairs, lots of ramps, and a lot of spaces that are kind of interconnected, but not easily known or visually seen where to go. So with the addition of wayfinding, that'll make it simple, as well as, like I said, with this main lobby being opened up into these spaces, I think it'll be very clear once you're in that lobby where you're going to be able to go, because keeping in mind the wayfinding will be a big element. But Mr. Mayor, just to go simply to your question, 2 ways, both accessible. If I'm coming through this vestibule, through the main lobby, I can stay on this level, this lower level, continue through this door to the arena area. So this is all arena below here. I'm going to go through this corridor and to this the lift, and right straight out those doors. So you've got almost no turns, no corners. You're directly walking through here to that end. And as well, if you were going to if you needed to go to the upper floor, same thing. You'd be going through the vestibule, but this time you'd either be taking the elevator or the stair coming up through here and the existing corridor that's here now and out to that east entry. Does that answer your question?
Looking at right under your, and that's not going to be fair to you because I'm looking at the large screen, the elevator. That's the one that's currently, it's just probably an 8-foot elevator. It's just.
Yeah, that lift, yeah.
Yeah.
So the one we've got proposed is a full-sized elevator.
And where is that? Sorry.
And that's this one here, in the blue here next to the
Okay.
stair.
Okay. Are you aware of an additional elevator shaft that's never had a elevator put in it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's all. Just that's all.
Yep.
Okay, that was really my question, building upon Councillor Parker's, and I'm not, opportunity for further dialogue will exist relative to some of the more remedial things, but overall, it's an impressive opportunity, and I think we've got some discussions with our own team to initiate. Did you have any summary comments that you'd like to make, Alicia?
No, I think generally I believe, I've covered everything. Again, similar, just writing off of your question to the idea all comes down to that main lobby. The main idea of that was to connect all the parts of this building. And again, as always, our comments that we were given from the beginning has been that this building has been just a bunch of puzzle pieces that have been added on over the years. There's again, with access, and it's been confusing to people finding their way around. And so one of the biggest things for us was to provide that way of connecting all those spaces with that one main entry, both with access as well as visual connections through that space. So I think that was one of the big goals here, was to provide that new entry for the building, give it a presence on that street, and give it accessibility to everyone. So we're hoping that people of Tilsonburg will enjoy it once it's built.
Okay, thank you again, and to your partners at A+ Link Architects. Deputy Mayor, you have a resolution, please.
Yes, I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Parker. The council receives the A+ Link Architects presentation of Tilsonburg Community Center renderings as information.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just before opening the floor to council, it's probably appropriate to ask the director just to make some summary comments. Julie's done an excellent job in her tenure here. And I think maybe most important is to provide that opportunity. And then if there's even a suggestion that kind of a more staff-focused report is initiated, so that there's some focus to some of the comments and concerns that were raised by council tonight. I'm not putting you on the spot. We hadn't discussed it, but certainly if you want to make summary comment, then we'll open the floor to questions.
Thank you, Mayor. To council, through you, to council. In the short time that I've been here and the numerous meetings we have had about this renovation, staff have been very thorough. There's been a ton of research done on accessibility. One of the conversations actually that has come out of the presentation that we received was actually similar to Council Parker's suggestion. Alicia and I discussed it actually earlier today. The same idea came from my mindset that we need to move and look at the parking there. We do have parking concerns at that side of the building in general, so it is on a capital budget item for us to move forward and figure out some parking to solve some of that congestion in that area. I think moving forward, it's also important for council to be aware that the site plan has been submitted, so it is being circulated amongst all the directors from the different departments. We'll all be addressing our concerns from accessibility to snow clearance, slope. I know Gino in our building department, our chief building official, has some comments that he wants to share as well. So that general consensus will come forward out of staff. with regards to the schematics that have been presented. Thank you.
Okay, are there any brief questions from members of council? Councillor Govesi, then Councillor Rosehart, and then I got Councillor Park.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Julie. What is the deadline to complete this project?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. The funding streams are ending in March 2024.
Okay, so does that mean the project has to be complete or started by March 2024?
Through you, Mayor, they should be completed. This project needs to be completed by March 2024 fiscal year.
And what is the estimated time to do this project, like from construction start to construction finish?
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Govesi, we are waiting for the timeline from the architects at this moment. I know there was a little bit of delay. We were hoping to have the RFP done at a quicker date, but there was some adjustments to the project as presented to staff. Like Alicia had mentioned earlier in her presentation, she's hoping to have the RFP tender documents ready for November, and we are looking to start this project ground shovel ready for January 2023. Staff can report back on the timeline once received from the architects.
Okay, so if I may continue, so will this be coming back to council for final approval?
You're referencing the RFP and then subsequent subsequent award?
Well, I know, I think the subsequent award would be coming back to council, but I'm asking, is this the last time council is going to see the design?
Through you, council, I think it would be in our best interest after the new inauguration has happened and the new council is before us, that after we've done site plan review with staff and department heads, that any comments or notes or changes or alterations to this schematic be brought forward to council. I think that's a good time also to bring through the costing estimates that were collected by the architect and the RFP document.
Okay, so final question through you, Mr. Mayor, to Julie. So I had raised the issue about the reusing the tile. What is your thoughts on this?
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Govesi. The tile itself has been addressed by Karen internally in our facilities department. I haven't done the research on the repurposing of this tile. I can do some more research and get a more thorough investigation done on our existing tile to report back to you, but staff are comfortable in this project moving forward with the regrouting and cleaning of the existing tile. The integrity of the tile they were happy with.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Councillor Rosehart, then Councillor Park.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Julie, I'd just like to make a comment. This is a huge project. We're only going to get one kick at the cat. And this councillor, the next council, has to make sure it's going to be done right. Thank you.
Councillor Parker.
Through you, Mayor Molnar, to the Director of Recreation. I guess I have some concerns with the repurposing of the tiles as well. I believe that there was issues in the past with the how slippery they were, everything like that. Obviously, when stuff gets wet, to me, repurposing the tiles the way that they are, I think is a cover up of the actual infrastructure. And I think if we're going to do this project properly, I think we do need to look at replacing it and putting new tiles in. And if it needs to come back to council for more investment at budget time, I think that that's something that needs to be looked at, because I think that we want to make sure that we do this correctly. We do it once and then it lasts for another 50 years, similar to the 50th anniversary that we're coming up on now. So that's my personal opinion. I just don't want to see us do all of this work and then 10 years from now say, hey, let's replace the tiles because we need to do it. So I think if we're doing the construction once, that's what we need to do. So personal opinion. Thank you.
Anything further from members of council? resolutions on the floor to receive as information. I think there was a commitment that additional material. I think the question raised by the deputy mayor earlier, I think you could tie all those together. Subject, like there will be, as there has been historically, orientation. It would be an excellent opportunity, no matter what, for orientation. It's probably the largest capital item that will, in the first year anyways. And so that might be a way to go off on an adventure and see a couple of these things that Alicia had indicated earlier. The Councillor Parker, respect those comments because that's ultimately, there's one taxpayer, but we're getting the benefit of two significant contributions from provincial and federal government. We've had very positive dialogue. If the timeline needs advocacy, whoever, like the town should be doing that in any case. But there's a year extension already from the Ministry of Infrastructure from the provincial perspective. Quite frankly, this project would have been moved ahead quite some time ago, 24 months plus or minus, if the federal government, not looking, a gift horse, but with due respect, the funding and the announcement and the ability to actually go out to the private sector was impeded by some of the terms and conditions in the original agreement that was signed. So there's a lot of good things that we've talked about. I would have concern, that we are cutting back because of an interpretation of limited resources. If that ends up being the decision, then that's fine as well. But I would hope that we're not making those decisions without council's input on whether they can find either alternative resources, are prepared to, go to the community and say they think this is the right decision. And I think we've had the discussion as well about third-party funding. There's not a name on the swimming pool. To my, like a full long-term, I'm probably going to get some feedback. But, the entire aquatics facility as a whole has value. So those are things that we could be looking at as we advance this discussion. And those are again are more comments. But I think what the messages were here, we have a wonderful opportunity. We've got one, time to do this right. And I think I haven't heard anything about ultimate commitment to ensure that the assistance is there. So unless I see further, I'm going to call for the question to receive this information. All those in favor? Opposed? Resolution is carried. There was intended to be a presentation, but there is correspondence, and it may be in the best interest to introduce the correspondence from Helping Hand Food Bank regarding permit fees, building permit fees. This had to do with, I would just read maybe one or two paragraphs, that Helping Hand Food Bank has found a new location in a portion of the Father Langan Center beside the Roman Catholic Church. The board of the Helping Hand Food Bank feels it's a great location for our clients and will allow us to serve our most valuable neighbors and make sure no one goes hungry. Now, the ask is in order to function at our new location, we have to contract construction work, and being a non-for-profit charitable organization and relying on 100% on donations, we, the HHFB board, are asking the town to forgive our permit fees. And I'm assuming by that we're talking municipal building permit fees. So that's the information. At one point, there was intended to be a delegation or a presenter, but regarding the material information, I think there's a resolution that may assist in advancing this. And Councillor Govesi, do you have that, please?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Parker that council receives the Helping Hand Food Bank permit fees presentation as, permit fees letter as information, and that the request to forgive permit fees be granted.
Okay, discussion. Any questions? Councillor Parker, please.
I just think that the amount of work that the Helping Hand Food Bank does for the community and the community resources, that this is an opportunity to help them out. And I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm fully supportive of this.
Anything further? The resolution is satisfiable to give direction to the CBO and the department. Excellent. Then we'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Resolution is carried. We move into the public meeting portion of our agenda. There's one application for minor variance. Councillor Gavasi, you have a resolution to move into Committee of Adjustment. I'm going to say 725, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rosehart, that council move into the Committee of Adjustments to hear an application for minor variance at 7:25 p.m.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion. We'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Resolution carried. For public information, this is a meeting held under the Planning Act for the purposes of hearing minor variance application A 12-22. Owners of the ownership at Elm Street, 10 Elm Street. This process allows any person in attendance the opportunity to make a presentation to council. If anyone who appeals this decision has not provided council with oral or written submissions at the public meeting, then the local planning appeal tribunal has the power to dismiss the appeal. This minor variance application for the Mr. Auto Wash on Tilson Ave. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the chambers Mr. Eric Gilbert, who will bring council and the community up to date on the application, please.
Thank you. This is a minor variance application seeking relief of the exterior side yard width, as well as the setback from the center line of an arterial road. In this case, Concession Street West or East, and Tilson Ave are both arterial roads. Council did approve a zone change application recently in September to reduce their front yard depth. However, this proposed relief was not accounted for during that process, and the relief sought is required to facilitate the proposed car wash. There was one letter of objection received from a neighboring resident concerned about the noise from the car wash establishment. The car wash is a permitted use, so staff believe that requiring a noise study likely won't accomplish much because it is permitted by zoning. However, having said that, council could require a noise study as a condition of the approval, but that'd be at your discretion. It's noted that the proposal is the same as what was approved by council in September. However, the applicant has now provided the additional information required, and this relief is required to permit the additional car wash bay. Staff are of the opinion that the 4 tests for minor variance are met and recommend approval of the application.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gilbert. Are there questions from members of council, either for clarity or to the material information in the application? Just one thing from my perspective, then, certainly, as you've mentioned on 2 occasions in your presentation, that in September of this year, the zone change application was approved. Council gave approval as a whole. Was there any indication at that time that the applicant would have was preparing to require? A lot of times those applications come in simultaneously, and consideration for site plan approval and the delegation responsibilities that are provided for that in our municipal policies would have suggested that that may not have been anticipated. So from a planning perspective, even though this is a positive recommendation, I was surprised to receive this. So I'm just looking for the history on that, and I'd be able to address that with CJDL's representative as well.
I did reach out through the circulation of the zone change application to inquire about those relief, and it's indicated that they were fine. That they wouldn't need the relief. So I was surprised as well when we got the request for this.
So
Um,
position then to the county and the planning office at the time was there would not need to be any relief.
That's
Okay.
the information we received from the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions for the planner at this time? Is it Mr. Benjamins? Yep, welcome, sir. If you plan on representing the applicant through your position as an agent from CJDL, welcome back to the chambers. If you got comment in support of the application and the recommendation from the county.
Yes, thank you. Again, I'm Trevor Benjamins. I'm an associate planning technician with CJDL Consulting Engineers here in Tilsonburg. It was a mistake on CJDL's end for not including these requested amendments in the previous zoning bylaw amendment. What happened is we didn't advance the site plan far enough to look at all of the zoning regulations which were required for this application. So I apologize for that. It's partially my fault as well. But that's kind of why this application has come forward. We are still in support of the application. CJDL is still in support of the application. And that's an important thing to note is the size of the proposal from the previous approved zoning bylaw amendment has not changed. And I can answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Other questions for the representative from CJDL? We'll start with Councilor Rosehart, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have the same concerns as I did the last time. The water coming onto our road. It is a concern. Is there any way we can deviate from having all the water, especially in the back of the big trucks? When they come out on that road and they're taking off from that stoplight, it empties out of their back trucks.
Yeah, that the concern I remember last time was entrance or coming out on Hills now. We have looked at they are going to be replacing some asphalt around the new portion addition. And they are going to be closing one of the entrance. We are looking at closing one of the entrances on that's closest to Tilson Ave on Concession Street. We also are considering looking at making entrance and exit out of the car wash right in, right out only. So this is not going to be at the those time that will be dealt with the site plan approval. But as for the trucks coming out in the water, I don't have any further answer to that question.
Further questions for the agent for the applicant? The only question I would ask, you're here representing, and you've actually assumed some responsibility, or at least the agency of CJDL in their engineering and planning capacity. The zone change on this property received confirmation. I'm assuming it's actually gone through its appeal process. We
Yes.
probably wouldn't be here.
October 30th.
Okay, thanks very much. Now there's an application for a minor variance. If the minor variance was not supported, not to prejudice, I'm just saying if it wasn't, meaning the zone change has been approved, would there still be an expansion on site?
No, simply because the proposed addition is required to have these requested amendments. From my understanding, Eric might have further to that.
Well, we've kind of gone through Eric. No, with all due respect, that's why we actually go through this public process. And that I would have hoped, if that's the case, that would have been caught in an original planning document, because those things normally, there's a suggestion that a recommendation to adopt recommendation to approve a zone change would have a review into, planning and densities and other things. Okay, I mean, I asked the question, I didn't know the answer, I wouldn't have asked it, so you've given me a response and I appreciate it. That's good. Anything further for the agent for the applicant? Any further questions from members of council? And resolution. Deputy Mayor, you have that resolution?
I do have the resolution. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Luciani that the Town of Tillsonburg Committee of Adjustment approves application file 812-22 submitted by Mr. Auto Wash Incorporated, care of Tyson Van Leeuwen, for lands described as lot 395, 415, 416, and part of lot 296, line 500, municipally known as 127 Tilson Avenue, Town of Tillsonburg, County of Oxford, as it relates to number one, relief from section 14.2. I'm assuming SC stands for site control zone provisions, table 14.2, zone provisions, which exterior side yard minimum width to decrease the minimum required yard depth from 9 meters to 8.3 meters. And the second part is relief from section 14.2, site control zone provisions, table 14.2, zone provisions setback. Minimum distance from the center line of the arterial road shown on Schedule B to decrease the minimum required distance from the center line of an arterial road from 20.5 meters to 18.3 meters.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. To the resolution that's on the floor, are there any questions from members of council? Councillor Esseltine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what we're doing here then is giving relief to what the zoning provisions are. So there's less space required, both towards Tilson Ave and to both Tilson Ave and Concession Street. This is a tremendously busy intersection, both vehicular and people walking. I wouldn't support the motion because I think that this is a dangerous area for us to be allowing for less space for cars and people. Thank you.
Anything further from members of council? We'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Resolution's carried. 1, 2. Councillor Luciani, you have a resolution to move back into open session at 7:37, please.
Yeah, moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Barris that council move out of Committee of Adjustment and move back into regular council session at 7:37 p.m.
Thank you. Discussion. We'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Resolution is carried. There are no planning reports, deputations on committee reports. However, this evening, there's a few important informational items under section 11 of our agenda. I'd like to draw the community's attention to St. John's Anglican Church, their annual first responder and medical personnel Thanksgiving service, which is on the evening of the 17th of October as a way to annually give thanks to those that keep our community safe, the men, women, and ultimately our healthcare first responders and medical personnel. Additional information available elsewhere in the community, and we'll discuss that further at the round table. And additional material information from the Municipal Affairs and Housing regarding the public consultation meetings and the Solicitor General regarding community safety and Policing Act, of which has also been forwarded to the local police services board as information. We'll start with the resolution on the floor and look for any questions from members of council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Parker, that council receives correspondence from St. John's Anglican Church dated October 17th, 2022, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing dated September 26th, 2022, and the Solicitor General dated October 4th, 2022 as information.
Thank you, Councillor Esseltine. Discussion on any of those items? And we'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, resolution is carried. We move to departmental reports, item 12.1.1. Our council meeting dates for the next year, council from the 8th of November through till October the 10th of 2023. Counselor Parker, you have that
I do.
Resolution.
Moved by myself and seconded by Counselor Esseltine. The council receives report CAO 22-07, council meeting dates as information. And that council orientation dates be set as November 8th, November 15th, 21st, 22nd, 2022. And further, that council budget dates be set as December 7th, 9 a.m. and 19th, 2022, and January 16th and February 6th, 2023. And further, that the regularly scheduled 2023 council meeting dates be amended from Monday, January 23rd, 2023 to Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, Monday, April 10th to Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, Monday, May 22nd to Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023, Monday, June 12th to Wednesday, June 14th, 2023, and Monday, October 9th to Tuesday, October 10th, 2023.
Thank you very much, Counselor Parker. Discussion on those items. Again, there's a reference to orientation.
Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, Counselor Govesi, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to, I guess it's the clerk's department. With regards to the two back-to-back days, the 21st and the 22nd, I guess I would be just raising a concern that this will be like newly elected members of council, but some people do have full-time jobs. And I was just wondering if the 2 days in a row would be difficult. Maybe some people around the table would be able to answer this.
Mr. Pratt, please.
Thank you through the mayor. Good observation, Councillor Kavesi. We don't know who's going to be elected and what their occupations are yet. We are looking to book some dates. We're looking to at least divide the one date into a road trip and a in-class practical with overviews of departments. If we can shorten it up, we'd be happy to do that. We're still ongoing making the presentations and the orientation, but point noted, thank you.
And if I may continue, I have one other quick question. The budget dates are set, and I would be, through you, Mr. Bear, curious as to when the budget binders would be available to council.
Did Mr. Pulio, do you have comment on when the public release of the binders are available?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we would be targeting 1 week before the December 7th, so about November the 30th.
Anything further?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I would just like to make a comment on that. For whoever is sitting on council and especially new council members, 1 week is not enough time to be able to go through that. I'm just making a comment. Thank you.
That's fine. Any further questions or comments regarding the recommendation? I think this is historically the time of the year, every year, where there's kind of a snapshot that's put together for council and the public to recognize when meetings are going to be held. I would pretty much guarantee that they're not all going to happen on the exact dates they're in here, and that will come from communication, members present, staff responsibilities and other things. So I think this is an excellent guideline. Any experience that I would contribute to the conversation is that one of the benefits that this town has always taken advantage of is pre-budget approval for targeted and identified capital items. We've had one that we've had a fair bit of discussion on earlier tonight. Getting out early into the private sector, roads and sidewalks and things that have a tangible asset, to them is important. So that's a generic approach that this, I think we need to, I should be looking over here as well. I would hope we're not losing that based on a date on a piece of paper. That's all. That's about, okay. Anything further? Then we'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, that resolution as well is carried. We move to a report that is regarding an electronic monitoring policy. And the information's been circulated. I think importantly is understanding that this is in response to a revised Employee Standards Act, as was enacted through Bill 88. So this is a provincial legislation that is now filtered through regulation, and it's arrived here on this communities and other municipalities and employers with over 25 employees right across the province. Did you have summary questions? I just wanted to ensure the public that this was something that was not initiated by the town, but it's our responsibility to comply, at least in whole or in part.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, you nailed it perfectly. Thank you very much for the summary.
Oh, that was not the intent. The intent was really to say that I don't think, I said what the intent was, that this is a legislative responsibility that's been given to any employer that has more than 25 employees, public, private sector. The resolution, Councillor Rosehart, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Gilvesi, that the council receives and approves electronic monitoring policy for the town of Tilsonburg.
Discussion. Well, just a couple things from my perspective. I kind of handed the ball, like saying that we're doing this because we have to do it, but you don't have to do everything. And so one of the things I'm saying are regarding about the technology, the use of technology, and there's some things in here. It's about days work to the end of the day. So do we have things in place that the same device at the end of a working day? Because there is you can't have one policy that the province has also instituted and we've adopted, that there is a finite end of a working day now. And that in this policy, it references end of working day. So when do we monitor the technology and when do we stop monitoring it?
Through the chair. So you're right, Mr. Mayor. The province brought in another policy regarding working hours and the respect of working hours. So a lot of people have tags at the end of their email saying that my working hours are different than your working hours, and we respect that. So you're absolutely right. As a flexible employer, people do flex their days and work different hours. Some work 8 to 4:30, some work noon to 9 o'clock at night, depending on their day and the job at hand. So, as an employer, we would only monitor if there was a reason to monitor, and we would monitor, and we would know the supervisor would know that employee's hours of work, of anyone we were needing to monitor.
Okay. No, it's new enough and impactful enough that when you're an employer that's built on faith and trust, and then even the wording isn't a very good wording. There could be a better, that's not the responsibility of this municipality. This is provincially what this legislation is called. It's called electronic monitoring policy, and it's not a very positive, which is in, the respect for workers application. So I just, I'm not, it's a process. All the material is in here. It'll have to actually be done very early again in 2023, perhaps, for a March 23. Yeah, I think it'll have to be redone if there's changes to the policy, and then not a 30-day notification period.
Those are for the ones,
Yeah.
actually, the municipalities that are the employers that are just getting over the
Yeah.
25 mark
Okay.
as of January 1st. Yes.
Okay. Anyways, anything further? We'll call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed, that resolution as well is carried. We move to consideration of committee minutes. Councillor Goazy, do you have a resolution, please?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rosa, the following council committee minutes be received as information. August 4th, 2022, Parks Beautification and Cemetery Advisory Committee minutes. September 20th, 2022, Tilsonburg Transit Advisory Committee minutes, and September 21st, 2022, Accessibility Advisory Committee minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Goazy. Discussion from members of council on any of those items? Councillor Rosehart, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment, or actually, I'd like to know what this means. A request for more naturalized areas in parks and trails rather than groomy grass. Committee supported this idea. That was 5.3 in the beautification from parks. Where would we do that? I'm in favor of this, having more natural areas rather than cutting everything. But where would we do that, I guess?
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Rosehart, the idea, I believe, came from staff who suggested that this be a general approach to our parks operations to reduce the cost of maintenance. Some of our areas can be more naturalized as opposed to groomed grass. It was a general comment brought forward that the committee has since approved, supported.
Anything further regarding any of those, I believe, 3 separate sets of advisory committee minutes? I apologize. Councillor Goazy, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Director Columbus. Just to follow up on what Councillor Rosehart asked, like where exactly would this be? And I guess one concern that I would have would be ticks. So if these naturalized areas are close to paths where dogs, can wander into them, even children or people, there may be more ticks with high grass areas. So if we could just have a little bit better understanding on where exactly these areas would be.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Goazy. I would have to bring back a report highlighting the areas that staff are recommending throughout the various parklands and green spaces in the town, the municipality. We're definitely aware and cognizant of the tick issue. It was quite an issue actually during the summer of 2022. I do know from experience from my short duration of time here, there was concerns with some overgrown areas that were already existing. Councillor Parker could probably address these as well. They were behind some facilities that were used for baseball players. We did go in and clean up some of that brush and overgrowth to make sure that they were safe for players and families that were walking dogs, that were jumping over to get foul balls. So we're definitely aware of the concerns with overgrown areas. It would just be areas in general that were not utilized by obviously our residents or patrons visiting the area. But I can definitely bring back a map if you'd like to see that and where those areas are specifically to the town.
Thank you. That would be great.
Anything further from members of council? Then we'll call the question regarding the receipt of the committee minutes as information. All those in favor? Opposed, resolutions carried. Are there any motions, notice of motions from, Deputy Mayor, did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay, Paul, that may have been earlier. So I got notice here that maybe you had your hand up, and so I apologize. That's on me.
Well, it's hard to see the screen when you're in the room.
Yeah.
So, no, everything's fine.
Okay, but anyways, thanks very much. So regarding, there are no notices or motions to be appropriately brought forward at a future member of agenda of council. There are no resolutions resulting from any closed session. Bylaws, Counselor Parker, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Counselor Esseltine, that bylaw 2022-067, bylaw to appoint an acting clerk for the corporation of the town of Tilsonburg, be read for a first, second, third, and final reading, and that the mayor and the clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign the name and place the corporate seal thereunto.
Thank you, Counselor Parker. Discussion from members of council? Prepare to call that question. All those in favor? Opposed, resolution is carried, along with the confirmation bylaw 2022-066 for this evening's meeting, the 11th of October. Deputy Mayor, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani, that bylaw 066 to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held October 2022 be read for a first, second, third, and final reading, and that the mayor and the clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign the same and place the corporate seal thereunto.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Discussion for members of council. We'll call that question. All those in favor? Opposed, resolution is carried. Are there any other items through roundtable that members of the community or council or leadership would like to bring up? I'm going to start with Counselor Parker, and if he doesn't mention something, then I'm going to ask him to mention that something as well.
So I've got a few things here. We're going to start with something that was just brought to me tonight, and it's quite exciting. On Tuesday, November 1st, we will be hosting the 50th anniversary of the Tilsonburg Community Center. The public is invited for cake cutting, as well as free skate, free fitness programs for families in the auditorium, and a free family swim. The schedule will be released to the public shortly, and there will be a number of dignitaries there, and this is exciting for the Tilsonburg Community Center. Next up that I have is myself and Mayor Molnar had the opportunity today to attend the groundbreaking for Tilsonburg Nonprofit Housing's new development on Victoria Street. So this is going to bring another 18 units of senior nonprofit housing to Tilsonburg. Construction is going to be starting, well, it's already started. So we're hoping for completion within a year, but it does help to knock down the wait list. And then final, I'd like to send a thank you out to all the sponsors of the Tilsonburg Men's Slow Pitch League. They wrapped up their season on Thursday night with GC Lounsbury Dirty Mitts winning the A Division championship. They've been a team that's grown up in the league and have participated for the last 20 years. So it's awesome to see local teams doing well. And then the final thing that I have is that Tilsonburg Minor Hockey is hosting their annual rep tournament on October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. So if you get the opportunity, head over to the community center. There's going to be teams from all over the province here competing. So I'd like to wish all those teams good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Parker. I had Counselor Rosehart next. That's
fine. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's your call. Thanks. I would like to invite everybody out on the 24th, on a Monday of October. We're having an oatmeal at Annadale House from 8 to 11, and you get to keep the 150 bowl, and it's $10. Thank you.
That's AM. Because it's cereal. Yeah.
Cereal.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. Counselor Esseltine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention that the Culture, Heritage and Special Awards Committee is taking nominations for Citizen of the Year for 2022. And this has been advertised on the Tilsonburg page of the Norfolk Tilsonburg News for a couple of weeks, if not a month or so now. So the committee will be reviewing the submissions and working towards choosing a Citizen of the Year. So there is still time to make nominations. And you can do that online. Everything's online. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Counselor. Anything further? I'm looking out into anything further from members present. Just to, on behalf of the presentations that were made earlier tonight, then to reinforce those in the community that would like to support the local Legion Branch 153 and their annual poppy campaign. Slowly, I'll read this slowly at 519-842-5281. Generally, their office is open in the morning. Reach out and volunteer your time there, and remind us again, the first responders and medical personnel service of Thanksgiving to be held at St. John's Church here in Tilsonburg on the 17th of October, beginning at 7:30. That would conclude any information from my perspective. I thank council for your attention, and looking for a resolution to adjourn, and that be Councillor Luciani, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Barris that the council meeting of October 11th, 2022 be adjourned at
Hurry.
7:59.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much and have a pleasant evening.